And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the only podcast, the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm very sorry for the fluke. As you can tell, I'm in my new office suite. If you're watching the video, just kidding. It's a joke. I'm actually in an undisclosed location that I think... I don't even know. It sounds like I'm very loud, but I'm in an enclosed space in an undisclosed location. And here we are. This is welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. This is a podcast where I sit down in front of a mic and I talk to people. No, I talk about things, and it's great, and people love it. And by people, I mean the idiots that listen to this for some reason. I'm just kidding. You're not idiots. None of you are idiots. Forgive me if my voice sounds different. I am getting over a little sickness. But that's neither here nor there. We are in a place where I definitely should not be, where I was told I should not be. So we should hurry this up. All right. First thing I want to talk about, all the Constitutionals. Did you guys see that new Rent? We'll get to that in a second. The Titan Games. So I've been watching this show, The Titan Games, which is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's reality competition show where he pits beautiful Instagram gym sluts against each other so that they could win not money, not fame, but the title of Titan. It's a wonderful show. It's great because it's not... it's not whittling down 50 people down to one person. It's two people going against each other to be crowned Titan of that episode, or that segment, really, because it's two women against each other, two men, then two more women and two more men, and then the winners from both the women and the men go off against each other, but not the opposite sex, which some people might have an issue with. I don't really care. I mean, it'd be cool to have two women or two men. As I'm really digging myself into this hole. It's a great show. Nevertheless, it's a great show. One of the Titan Games people, goes to my gym in Atlanta, Georgia. So that was really neat to see. And boy, you better bet I stalked her Instagram. My voice sounds so weird, so that didn't sound as that sounded very dark. Well, you better I stalked her Instagram. Anyway, it's a good show. I enjoyed my time watching it. I've only seen the first episode, which is 80 minutes long, so it was 2 episodes, but it's great. So what they do is they pit these people against each other in one challenge. So they'll have to swing a ball on a tether, like a giant, like 100. Is it 100 pounds? It's a giant ball that's hung up on a tether, and they have to swing it around and knock down pillars that are 100 pounds. Excuse me, I think they're 100 or 150, and they have to use the momentum of the heavy ball to hit the pillars, and it's way harder than you think. There's another one where the first one ever was a tug of war type of thing, where the women would pull out 2 poles, and then like on this wooden block, they would have to pull out 2 poles on both sides for them, and then they would go up, or like 2 poles on one side and then the other side of 2 poles for the other woman. Then they go up to this pole in the middle, and whoever pulled it out faster and hit this gong in the back, thanks to the length of the pole, wins. But the poles, the first 2 poles are 100 pounds, and the last one you're fighting with the other person over to pull it over. So it's really interesting. I enjoy it. Great show. Check it out. It's ultimately means nothing in the end. I don't know why I sound so weird. It's because I'm the gain's down. The gain was down because I was in the car for the past 19 weeks. Conan is back. I'm so very happy to have Conan back. He came back last week. If you've listened to this show, I don't know why you would. I hope you can hear. This place may be haunted. And I hope you can hear the wind whistling, like the cars driving by. I don't want to get too specific, but I am in a building several floors up from the bottom of the floor, And there is indeed a highway out to my right-hand side and a baseball stadium, maybe. That's way too much information. But I'm that high up. And I can just hear whoosh, 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 whoosh from cars. Because that's how cars sound. Moving on. Conan came back. He's been doing a great job. If you don't know, last October, he decided to stop doing an hour-long show and started doing a half-hour show. And from what I gather from his interviews that he's been doing to promote the show, there's white dust everywhere. So I gotta make sure my pants are wiped off. This leather jacket's wiped off, and everything else I am wearing is wiped off. But he's basically said, and what I gather is that he's basically said that the decision to go half hour was mutual, and it was more his idea because he's tired of the whole late night format. And he did change it up. He got rid of the band, which is sad, but he still has Andy, which is great. They redesigned their new set, which they got like in the summer, I believe, like at least in. Yeah, they got that like super recently. They're set for the last hour long, and so what Conan does is he comes out, does a monologue. Andy introduces him. There's clearly no band because it's like stock music, which maybe the band recorded. Conan comes out, does a monologue that's more or less a monologue. There are jokes there, but there's a lot of messing around with the crowd. And there's an episode that came on Monday. Today is Wednesday when I'm recording this. There's an episode that came on 2 days ago where Conan was, or maybe it was yesterday's. It was the episode with Tig Notaro. And Conan was having a back and forth with the audience. The audience was really energetic, which is great, but they're also slowing down his energy. Well, not slowing down his energy, but slowing down a monologue, which really messes with me because all they do is clap. Woo, 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 clap, clap, clap. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. I just love the episode for this title. The episode for this title. But the new Conan's great. I love it. I love Conan. And so then he, I'm sorry, woo, woo. This is so stupid. All right. But the episode for the so what Conan does, so after the monologue, Conan will, he sits down with the guests almost like immediately after that. So we have 14, monologues 5 minutes. We have 15 minutes with the guests, which is great. It's fun. It's fantastic. There's clearly editing there. Like there's a lot of, unmatched cuts or unmatched action where Conan, and what matched action is if you watch a scene closely on a TV show and you see a character like drinking a glass of water and then the camera cuts, they're suddenly not drinking anymore, cuts back, the glass is in their hand, cuts away, the glass is full to the top again. That matched action is bad. That's unmatched action, I guess, whatever. But it's basically a lot of that with Conan. Like you'll see, like someone will be in the middle of a sentence, and then he'll go, "Oh, that's great," and they only have 21 minutes. And so far we haven't. There are two things that he's promised we have yet to see. And I know it's only week 2, but I would love to see some headway on this. One, he has we haven't seen any of the extra stuff that they planned on putting online. Where he said, basically in the interviews, is what he said as I could still talk to the guests for another couple of minutes, and we could put that online. We could do a whole nother sketch we could put online, and we have yet to see that. Unless I haven't been paying attention. And then also, Conan said that they were going to upload all of the old, like every single old episode of the late night show. Late Night. Yeah, Late Night with Seth Meyers. So they're going to upload every old episode of Late Night with Conan and then Tonight Show with Conan. We're supposed to get all that, but we have yet to see that. So I'll be ecstatic when we see that. And let's see. I should not be texting. Okay. Anyway, let's see. There's a new Weezer Teal album where they did a bunch of covers. It was good. I had a good time with it. If you're mad at it, you have a lot of issues. It's just them singing No Scrubs and Billie Jean and those other songs, Wonderwall. No. Oh, if they sang Wonderwall, that'd be great. I don't know why this is on here. I want to go ahead and take a break. Let's take a break. And then let's move on to the last couple of spots. Okay. All right. Well, we'll take a break. Okay. And bye. And we're back. Okay. That's how we take a break in this land. If the world is right, I will have not cut that out of the video. I think it'll be funny just to have you see me sit here for a couple of seconds and look around the room really quickly. First things first, I want to get to this Rent Live thing. So Rent Live happened. Rent Live is one of those plays that the networks put on, and it's live. The first one wasn't live, but then everybody was like, "Let's do it live," and then everybody made it live. And so NBC originated this with Sound of Music. Fox decided to get in on it with. Let's see, Rocky Horror Picture Show, which wasn't live, and it was horrible. Jesus, I hated it so much. And then Grease Live, which is, I think, the pinnacle of what these live shows will be. Although I did not see The Wiz, and apparently you can never see The Wiz live on NBC. You can never see it. You can't buy it, I don't think. I haven't been able to locate it. But so Rent Live. Rent is probably my favorite musical. It's got the worst story. Rent Live happened this past Sunday. One of the actors, the actor that plays Roger, he got hurt during rehearsals the night prior, or the day prior, something like that. He breaks his foot. He's in a wheelchair. Fox doesn't hire understudies. What do they decide to do? They decide to air rehearsals for the night before. You probably heard the story by now. I think it's real tragic that this happened. I'm sorry that he broke his foot. I'm sorry that that's it. I'm sorry he broke his foot. But they should not have. And what they did was, so there are already 1,000 people for the live portion for what was supposed to be live. There are already 1,000 people there. Fox the cast decides, hey, let's put on basically what amounted to was an energetic table read at this location, at the stage, the night that they're supposed to do it. And so while viewers at home were treated with this pre-recorded mess, the people there live got this half performed gobbledygook. I think it's just a mess all the way around. I think it's great for them for going through and doing this, but I didn't sign up for a dress rehearsal. I don't even like Rent that much. I love the songs. I hate the story. My issue with the story is get a part-time job. I've been working part-time jobs my entire life. All right, you think I want to do that? No. Yeah, I want to write movies just like you, Mark, but I can't because I don't have any capital. But you know what? To get capital and to pay my rent, I get part-time jobs. Come on, Mark. Come on, Roger, Mimi. The rest of them. Benny was being a good guy. He gave them a whole year to pay rent. Anyway, that's not a joke. It's very true. The original Broadway cast came out last Sunday to sing the last few seconds of Season of Love, which means Jesse L. Martin was there, which the same guy who's on The Flash, but he can't act right now on The Flash because he hurt his back, and one day he'll be back and everybody will be happy again. Because that show was a real downer, talking about Flash's daughter and everything. Because there's a mystery afoot. I'm 3 episodes behind. So there we go. I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. There's an article on Vulture who actually I didn't know it wasn't live until the next morning. But it's called Why Rent Live Wasn't Actually Live by Jackson McHenry. He's a little bit perplexed as well. He does a lot of referencing in this article. Great article. Check it out. And if you like Rent as much as me, then I guess you can deal with that. Next up, I just think that they shouldn't have put it on. I think the issue is have understudies. Fox, you're putting on this big production, have understudies. You think nothing can go wrong? It's like a regular play. Have an understudy. There are understudies for even community theater. Have I been holding the microphone away from myself this entire time? Yes, I have. Have understudies. All right. Moving on. BuzzFeed to lay off 15% of company workforce. This is from The Hollywood Reporter, written by Jeremy Barr. There are cuts being taken place, and they're taking place this week. This all happened last week. DC, Huffington Post, and not The Hollywood Reporter, and BuzzFeed are all having some type of cuts. Their BuzzFeed is letting go, so they have a total of 1,450. They are dropping 15%, or that's about 215 people. From what I've seen, I don't check Twitter a lot, but I did check Twitter for this for some ungodly reason. I don't know why, but there are a lot of people there that work there that I did not know worked there, and they did lose their positions. It really sucks. I think this really I think BuzzFeed's hand or overextension of themselves is what really hurt them. And that's not the only thing. Obviously, it's the changing media. I was just talking to somebody about this earlier, like literally 40 minutes ago. It's the changing media ways. It's the way in which the world works right now. There's not everybody's going to have this. I don't know. There's just different ways that. Podcasts are the it thing now, and it's mostly murder mystery podcasts or true crime podcasts. That's it. True crime podcasts and true crime documentaries are the it thing right now. They have been for the past 3 or 4 years, and so eventually that fad's going to die out. Hopefully, I pray to God that fad dies out, and because podcasting and online video and writing think pieces, that's all become regressive because everybody's doing it. It used to be only a certain set of people. Now you got idiots like me over here doing all this stuff, and there you go. The head of Buzzfeed, CEO Jonah Peretti. I'm sorry, I scrolled past something. I scrolled past where I needed to look, and it scared me up. Peretti said, "We've had years when we've been profitable and in years when we're not profitable. On years when we're profitable, we haven't said we're profitable. We've proven we can be profitable. I feel good about where our business is now. Sometimes it's not smart to focus on profitability. Right now, we're focused on sustainable growth, so we're innovating, managing our costs in a more rigorous way, and we're growing our top line in double-digit growth." There you go. Our business, he wrote this in a memo, our business is more diverse and balanced than it was a year ago, and very importantly, for the first time, a quarter of our annual revenue will come from sources other than direct sold advertising. Now, this comes right after they did that. I think it was Robert Mueller, big, I don't want to say expose, but they did something with Robert Mueller, like a huge article came out last week. And it's not a political show, but we just became super political. It was very interesting to see them reach a high, like BuzzFeed News reach an incredible high, and then have BuzzFeed whole proper just come to a crashing halt. Not saying they crashed down, I'm saying it's a crashing halt. It's very interesting to notice this. It really sucks that those people lost their jobs. I've said this. If BuzzFeed would change its name, then I'd probably like it a little bit more, and I would take it more seriously as a true online periodical based company. If they changed from BuzzFeed to Buzzworthy, I might like it. Kudos. Very sucks. Heart goes out to the people. Last thing I want to talk about. I watched Schooled, and Schooled is the spinoff to the Goldbergs. I do have an issue with that show, and I watched the pilot. I meant to watch the second episode. I just have not had the time to do that. but given how I didn't work for a minute. Those truths. But I do have an issue with Schooled. Schooled is the spinoff of Goldberg that I just said. It stars Lainey Lewis. I think I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Lainey Lewis, which is Agent Michalka. Love her. She's great. They bring her back to basically be a teacher at the school. Tim Meadows, Brian Callen reprise their roles. And now they're playing basically main characters. And there was the show was a backdoor pilot. Had a backdoor pilot in the Goldbergs. It's called The Goldbergs 1990 something, and it was supposed to be a show about Nia Long's daughter, and her son who go to the school where Tim Meadows, her brother, is the teacher turned principal or something like that. Brian Callen is still in the show as well, and it was supposed to be about them. ABC said no, even though it was great because Nia Long was picked up onto Criminal Minds, I believe, something like that, and she wasn't able to do it. So now the only holdovers they have from that show, the daughter's still in the show, but she is not the character she played in the Goldbergs 1990 something. The son is gone from what I could tell, like completely. And Tim Meadows and Brian Callen are still there, but Nia Long there's no mention of her. The daughter is this weird goth girl who's basically like analogous to what Lainey Lewis was when she was in school. I just think this, and then ABC picked it up when they said when Adam Goldberg came back and said, "Hey, what if we redid it?" And we gave you Lainey, which I don't think that was a good idea, especially on ABC's part. The show, by dropping Lainey in there, you basically and getting rid of one of the children completely, you basically whited up what I'm calling is the whiteification of the show. That show, I think 1990 something, should ABC had picked it up, it would have been the best tier show that they possibly could have had. These boots made for walking. It's very interesting how, they could have really grabbed any character, and what they did to get Lainey off the Goldbergs really pissed me off. They just had her leave one episode. I think I mentioned that before, but it's very important to see what they did. They took this one girl from this one show and then brought her over to this other show, and said, this is going to be better. This is how it's going to work. And now it's basically, besides the narrator now is Lainey herself, not like an older version. The narrator for the Goldbergs 1990 something, see the daughter was supposed to be the main character, the main charactress. I'm kidding. And Octavia Spencer was going to be the narrator, the future version of her, but now you can't do that. I wish I can't put my thoughts in the words right now, but it blows that it had to happen like that. That this show had to become gentrified in order to be sold. Like, what if we had to sell Fresh Off the Boat? Like, what if it was, the show was about Eddie Huang at first, and then they said, no, it's going to be about Honey. Honey is the neighbor, the Chelsea Crisp, who's married to Ray Weiss on the show, and who's Lewis's Randall Park's best friend. Like, what if they said that, and that would basically take the show back to a period where, in the 2000s, the 90s, when no one but a white person could lead a show. And I understand different strokes, Fresh Prince, Martin, Girlfriends, I understand Parkers, but I'm talking about a show that is mostly supposed to be about one thing, Speechless, Fresh Off the Boat, Blackish. These shows are supposed to be about one thing, and then, just adding in something white to spice it up. And I understand Speechless is all about white people, but the kid has a disability. So what if they added in a kid that didn't have a disability and he was the main character? Is what I'm trying to say. Boy, oh boy, this is a bad episode. Listen, Watch School. I do still think School is a funny show. I did have a fine time watching the show, but the entire time I was watching it, I thought this just rubs me the wrong way. Same thing with Grownish. I loved that show. I love the concept of the show. Watch Zoe from Blackish grow up, but she can't do that if every single second of her life is about boys. And that is what Grownish is. And I've only watched the first episode of the second season, and I just can't, and I'm 6 behind now. I cannot pull myself to continue watching if it's just going to be about boys. I want to watch all of those kids in that show. I want they're kids. They're my age. I want to watch all of them play these characters who are supposed to be growing up. And it just sucks that's not able to be a thing, because it's got to be about who's banging who. Which, yes, I understand that's what college is about, but also I did 50 other things in college that were beyond the sexual nature. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I didn't need sex. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I played Magic the Gathering. I'm just kidding. I don't play those weird nerd things. Hey, listen, if you like what you heard here, why don't you head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got the latest news. And nope, I keep slipping back into that format. Let's start over. Hey, listen, it's not natural. If you like what you heard here, why don't you head on over to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there are interviews. One coming up actually today. I think the day this is posted, maybe. We'll see. RON FUNCHES. I sat down with Ron. Oh, my God. I have a story to tell. Hold on. I sat down with RON FUNCHES, and it was great. Had a good time. We had to push it back a couple of times, and then I ended up having to do it. It was a phone interview, so I did it in my car with this setup. I was coming back from a coffee shop in the middle of traffic, and I was like, I gotta pull in this neighborhood, and I did it. It was great. It was fun. We had a good time. We talked. I asked a lot of good questions. Good. You'll see that today. I was trying to set up another interview. What I want to do is a Black History Month for comedians, black comedians. Do a bunch of black comedian interviews, but that's apparently not happening. The next person I was supposed to talk to, I'm not going to say this person's name, I'm not even going to say a gender, but I emailed the person directly. They said, yes, this will be great. I CC'd my team. Hopefully they will say yes, and we can set this up. I said, great. Thank you for responding. Sounds good. Thank you for responding. And then I got an email back. That basically, I was going to pull the email, but it doesn't matter. That basically said, hi, Chad, this is great. This is, no, it didn't say this is great. Hi, Chad, we're going to have to pass it this time. And I went, whoa. And that was it. That was the end of the email. Hi, Chad, we're going to have to pass it this time. I've never, in 6 years of doing C Plus comedy, I've never been told no for an interview. And I've never been told no that quickly. For anything in my entire life. It felt kind of mean, but this person's a big person. They're on a TV show right now, and they have comedy special one. I don't know. I was gonna say multiple, but they have one comedy special. So they might be busy. They're working every day, so there you go. Yeah. It was maybe in the future I'll talk about who this person was, but right now I don't want to burn any bridges with that one. Let's see. Head over to the website, listen to this podcast, watch the YouTube channel, youtube.com/C+comedy. You can find everything on the website, but watch youtube.com/C+comedy. See a video version of the show, as well as News Time, which is the premiere show for C+ Comedy, which is a weekly news show where it's like last week tonight. Full Frontal, The Daily Show. It's just like all those shows, except less funny and shorter. And it's about comedy news instead of real news that matters. This week's episode is the Guild Awards. We're talking about, this is an episode I had last year, an idea I had last year around this time. Like I said, all of February is planned out. Last year around this time, I had that idea. And it's about the SAG Awards, Producers Guild Awards, Writers Guild Awards, and Director Awards, and their histories and all that stuff. Good episode. I love it. The cold open's great. It's probably what hurt my throat the most. All right. So I feel like I have to go. Thank you for listening. I love you so much. Peace. Bye. Did I say peace?